Yes, we are your hosts. Spotlight, one player each. Show number 8, top 5 rookie QBs rankings. Grindberg, give landing spot predictions. Producer. Oh, I was playing bass. You couldn't see it. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Fantasy Forecast with Grindberg and bigz. He is Grindberg. I am bigz. We are your hosts. And what are we doing today, Grindberg?
Today is show number 8, and we thought it's time because, the rookie draft is next week. We're going to go over our top 5 rookie quarterback rankings, and we're going to give them, maybe a little bit of our landing spot predictions for these guys. And we'll also probably spotlight a quarterback that is either in our top 5 or maybe just on the cusp, or somebody that you may need to keep your eye on. So, how you doing today, bigz?
I'm good. There's only one thing I love more than Taylor Swift, and that's draft season.
No kidding. Draft season is upon us, and things are heating up, especially in the old quarterback rooms these days. Like a lot of quarterbacks meeting teams. I know the Commanders had like 3 guys visit them last week. So, what are your thoughts on that? What do you think is going to shake out?
I think the Commanders are going to draft a quarterback.
Yeah.
There's quite a few high end quarterback prospects in this draft, and I think they all fit really well in our redraft leagues, and especially if they can take over teams. I think they're all NFL ready. The top 6 are all NFL ready, so you love to see it.
So why don't you give us your top 5 quarterback rankings?
Can I do that?
And then what we'll do is right before you do that, you give me the heads up, and I'll get into our little video that we got on the guy that you're going to spotlight in this one. Yeah,
Okay.
You're going to spotlight a guy.
Well, do you want me to go 1 through 5 or 5 through 1?
Dealer's choice, my friend.
Okay, so my number 1 quarterback in the class, pretty much just like everybody else, and we're hoping this isn't another Jamarcus Russell situation where the consensus number 1 becomes Jamarcus Russell. But I have Leb Williams. I call him Leb because that's what the cool people call him. Leb, short for Caleb Williams. And I think he's going to be taken with the 1-1 by the Chicago Bears. My number 2 is Jayden Daniels, and I feel like he's going to Washington. My number 3 is J.J. McCarthy, and I believe he is going to the Las Vegas Raiders. My number 4 is Drake May. I believe he will wind up a New England Patriot. And number 5 is Michael Penix, and I feel like he is going to be a New York Giant.
That is some interesting talk there, bigz. I love where your head's at in some of that. What you're thinking there. Interesting enough, so you got these guys ranked. Obviously, maybe the NFL doesn't have them ranked the same way that you do, but you have, Drake May probably going to the Patriots. You said at number 3 overall. So, he sneaked in over. So you got J.J. McCarthy ranked pretty high.
I do. He's my 3rd favorite quarterback in this draft. There are certain aspects to his profile which make him my 3rd favorite quarterback in this draft.
Yeah.
I can't really bump him up against Jayden Daniels because production doesn't lie, and even though Jayden Daniels is a little bit older, and Caleb is, consensus. He does a lot of stuff Mahomesy, which is what everybody's looking for, throwing off platform and going off time and stuff. McCarthy he's got a well-rounded profile. He's very young, which is important. He's the guy in my eyes, and I see the Raiders trading up to number 3 with Arizona and taking McCarthy.
Interesting. I like McCarthy too, and I think he brings a really good element to an NFL team that people want, and that's the winning pedigree. The guy went 27-1 as a starter for Michigan. Pretty incredible. Yes, he wasn't, tasked with putting the team on his back and winning games right out, but the way he was able to, manage the game, people see that, and I think a lot of coaches are going to like what they see. He can win on a big stage, as he's proven. He's not going to make a fatal mistake, and he could be a guy that's going to steam up a lot of these draft boards, and for good reason. So I agree with that. I like JJ McCarthy, and I think where he's at right now, he's going to get that first round draft capital, and we'll see where he goes. I got another landing spot that we'll get into that one afterwards, but you got a guy that is outside your top 5 that we want to hear about, so I'm gonna get into them.
Okay, Jordan Travis from Florida State he's right outside my top 5. He's my number 6 quarterback. I have him ranked ahead of Bo Nix and Spencer Rattler. There are a couple of different reasons for that. Number one, in 2023, Jordan Travis was undefeated. Now, granted, he only played in 11 of the available games before he got injured. But spoiler alert, I'll talk about that in a second. He was undefeated in the 2023 season. He made Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson fairly good draft picks in the eyes of NFL scouts. He runs. He's got running upside. He had almost 2,000 yards running in college. In 2023, he had a 20 to 2 touchdown interception ratio and 7 rushing touchdowns. You do that in the NFL and fantasy, that's pretty nice. 2022, he had the highest PFF grade at the quarterback position in the entire FBS. So basically, through all of the film grading and everything that PFF does, they had him with the highest grade. That's not bad. Although, getting to his concerns, that was his 5th year so by the time you're in your 5th year, hopefully you're the best on the PFF grading scale. And then he stayed in school and he played a 6th year in which he got injured, which is another concern. He's also kind of small. He's 6'1", about 215. 6'1" is just below the threshold that you want to see in terms of height with quarterbacks. He's older. Like I said, he played 6 years in college football, but he's not much older than Bo Nix or Michael Penix, so he kind of slots right into that crowd. He's the same age, I think, as Spencer Rattler, so he's right there at that back 4 or 5 after you get through the top 4. Some comps that I've seen, he's been comped to Tyler Huntley, which isn't that's not going to move a lot of needles, but he could carve out a nice NFL career. And I've seen him comp to Dak Prescott, which obviously if you take Huntley as his floor and Prescott as his ceiling, he might have a couple good years in his career. But if he hits his ceiling and he can be a Dak Prescott type quarterback, Dak's my number 4 in dynasty rankings. So, I like Jordan Travis a lot. And the best thing about him is because of his injury, he's going to have a lot of value for a team who wants to bring him on board. So maybe a team that's looking for a quarterback, like the Raiders, doesn't have to jump up in the first round. They can sit back and wait. I'm taking Jordan Travis over Spencer Rattler. I'm taking Jordan Travis over Bo Nix. So I like him.
Hey, Tay, how about this, Travis? You like him at all, or what's happening there? Tay, we need some input. What does Tay say?
She doesn't.
No.
She said no.
She ain't digging. No. All right. Well, let's get into my top 5 quarterbacks.
Who are your top 5 quarterbacks, Grindberg?
Well, they're the exact same as yours, but in just a little bit different order. So I do have Leb Williams, if you will, going to the
Cool
Bears.
People say Leb.
Yeah, at number 1. So no shock there to anybody. Caleb Williams is going to be a Chicago Bear, and I think it's a great landing spot for him. I think the Bears are in great position to make him very successful year 1. Caleb Williams, in my eyes, is going to be a top 10 quarterback in 2024 as a rookie. And I think he's going to make his team look really good. I think the Bears have a really good season this year, a bounce back season, potentially 500, maybe even on the verge of making the playoffs. I think this kid has got it all, and he should be surrounded by weapons. And especially if they can get a top tier wide receiver to go alongside Keenan Allen and DJ Moore in this draft, I think that would be a really good situation for him.
Stay tuned to our next show to find out who that might be.
Exactly. Let's go. So my number 2 quarterback in this draft class is also Jayden Daniels, and I do have him going to the Washington Commanders at number 2. I think they're going to utilize this running quarterback. Jayden Daniels, what a season he had last year for LSU, rushing for over 1,100 yards, throwing for over 40 touchdowns, 3,800 yards in passing, and 10 rushing touchdowns. Like, incredible season. And he also weighed in higher than he should have, like than what people expected him to be. So maybe that physical style running might not be a detriment that people say it is for him. I think Jayden Daniels is going to be in a really good spot in Washington. He's going to be surrounded with some good talent, some younger guys, and he's going to be running the ball quite a bit. So
I didn't realize we were spotlighting everybody.
Yeah, we are, and that's
okay.
how it goes.
Okay.
The other one, and this is where it shakes up for me. I got Drake May ahead of JJ McCarthy in this process, and I have him going to the Vikings. I think the Vikings make that move to move up to number 3 and take the Patriots pick there. So I see Drake May go in there. JJ McCarthy is my 4th quarterback going off the board, still in the first round, but I see him going to the Denver Broncos. And then my spotlight.
Wrong.
It's wrong. Okay. What are your thoughts on my next one? It's Michael Penix is my number 5 quarterback, and I see him going to your Las Vegas Raiders, and I'm gonna get into my
Producer was a little bit quick on the cue there.
Yeah, well, what's going on? Do you think he could be a good fit in the Raiders? This
yeah.
Michael Penix?
Yeah, I feel like if they can't get a trade done to move up, I feel like they take like a Quinyon Williams, cornerback out of Tulsa at number 13, and then slide back. And once it looks like Penix is going to go, trade back up into the round and get him. I can totally see that as a realistic scenario. Because I feel like the Broncos are going to take Bo Nix with the number 12. Worst case scenario, Penix goes to the Broncos. I would not want that as a Raiders fan, but yeah, it's totally realistic. In fact, in terms of like if I have an NFL GM hat on, I don't want to trade up. I don't want to lose that draft capital, and I'd just rather kind of see who falls into my lap. Like a Jordan Travis. So, if somebody else takes Penix, I get a great player at 13 and maybe take Jordan Travis in the second round. That kind of.
I got. All right. Well, this is why I see Michael Penix as my 5th wide quarterback off the board and going in the first round. He is your prototypical pocket passer. He's mature. He's 24 years old. So don't get me wrong. He is older as a quarterback, but I think that might actually play into his advantage. He's got 6 years experience in college. He's a top NCAA passer over the last 2 seasons. He's had some time to mature and percolate in a good system. And that's what it means. A lot of these young quarterbacks need time to really develop in an NFL system. Maybe that extra year that Penix had might have served him well. We shall see. He's got big hands, good for ball security. He's only had 4 fumbles in 6 years, and I think coaches will really like that part of him. He's got a really big arm. He can throw the ball downfield and connect on the deep throws with his accuracy. His experience has given him a really good ability to read defenses and exploit their weaknesses. With his arm, he can aggressively, get the ball downfield, just like throwing to a guy like Devontae Adams if he lands in the Vegas Raider Nation. I think that would be a really good fit. Penix can drop dimes anywhere on the field and throws passes to help receivers after the catch yards. So he's got a good skill set that NFL teams will like. And he may not be the best option out of the gate, but he's a guy that people are going to like. There are flaws in his game. He did come up short in the national championship game. So in the big stage, he didn't perform well, especially when you think about the team he had behind him, and he just didn't perform as well there and at the Senior Bowl. His durability is always going to be a concern. He's had a good last 2 years, but he's had successful injury seasons. So let's see what happens. I think the draft capital will really play into play, but I think he's one of those guys that is NFL ready for the most part, and a guy that I can see getting that first round draft capital, and that is why he's getting put into my top 5 in this rookie class as a quarterback.
Yeah, I mean I tend to agree with you. I watched Michael Penix at Washington because I'm a fan of the Pac-12, and I watched some tape on him when in 2022. And he did some things that I didn't really like. His footwork wasn't great. He tended to stare down wide receivers and stuff. And I watched him a lot in 2023 because they were pretty much marquee games. The Colorado game was huge. The USC game was huge. The Oregon game was huge. The Oregon game was especially nice because you got to watch Penix and Nix. And he really cleaned up his footwork, and he started going through reads, and he would look off defenders before he made the throw rather than staring down his receivers. You can't really blame the national championship game performance on him because he was going against one of the best defenses in the country, and specifically a pretty incredible and focused and prepared defensive coordinator who had his guys in the right position. He is going to see a lot of that in the NFL as well, but he didn't play that terribly. And, he made Jalen Polk and Jalen McMillan and Rome Odunze. So they obviously made his life a little bit easier when that was his receiving core. But, a lot to like about Penix. My only concern with him is his age. It took him a long time to get there, but the thing about that is that it might mean that he can step right into a starting role with an NFL team because he has cleaned up a lot of that stuff that, say, Jordan Love had to work on for a couple years before he was able to start. So, Penix is a dude.
He is a dude. So that brings us to the end of this show. And what's going to happen on our next show, Biggs? Why don't you get us aligned with that?
You remember what we just did in this show?
Yeah.
Just think that, but with wide receivers. How's that sound?
Buddy? That sounds awesome, man.
You guys, like, subscribe, hit the bell so that you get notified when our next show drops. And go ahead and make comments. Follow us on Twitter. I'm at BigBonedFFB. That's BIGBONEDEDFFB. And Mike's at FF Canuck 99. That's one N because he's Canadian. And if it was an American that were Canucks, it would be spelled with two N's or something.
Something different.
I don't know. Bye.
All right. Peace. Have a good day.